Now, this one is called Fred the Ted. Now, I received this book when I was in kinder back in 1990, if you can believe that. And it's written and illustrated by Duncan Smith. Once upon a time, there was a teddy bear called Fred, or Fred the Ted, as he was known to his friends. Fred had lots of friends, a whole toy shop full. Fred was the kind of bear who would help out anyone. At night when the toy shop was closed, Fred would see if any of the toys needed help. He would sew buttons back on clothes, mend broken legs, and give toy soldiers a new coat of paint. The little bear worried so much about his friends not being sold that he worked every minute he could, sewing, mending, and painting. In the morning, he would be so tired that he would just flop on his box and watch as his friends were sold and taken away to their new homes. One day, a small boy came running over to Fred's box. Fred did his best to look smart and friendly and gave his best smile. "Can I, Dad? Can I please have him?" Fred's heart jumped. "Are you sure, son?" asked the boy's father. "Oh, yes, Dad." "Yippee!" thought Fred as the boy reached forward. But instead of picking Fred up, the little boy reached out for one of the toy soldiers beside him. "Oh dear," sniffed Fred. "Maybe next time someone will want me." During the day, the toys sat quietly, but every night at 5:30, they would hear the jingle-jangle, click-click of the keys in the door as the shop was locked up for the night. Fred hopped down from his box and quietly set about his tasks for the night. Slowly, the toys began to yawn and stretch. Then they started to dance around the shop, calling out hello to each other. "Albert the fire engine needs a new bell," mumbled Fred as he gathered up his tools, "and Captain Flash's spaceship needs painting, and oh dear," he saw himself in the mirror. Oh dear, is that really me? Am I looking so scruffy? Is my stuffing coming out? I must remember to fix that." The hours flew past until Clarence the cuckoo popped out of his clock, flapping his wings and calling loudly, "It's almost 9, it's almost 9, it's very nearly opening time." As Clarence started his cheerful cuckoos, Fred clapped his paws together and cried, "Places, everyone, places." No sooner was the last toy in place than they heard the keys jangling in the door. Mrs. Fussybottom, the owner of the store, came blustering into the shop, followed by a woman and a little girl in a red coat. Come in," cried Mrs. Fussybottom. "We're not quite open yet, but do have a look around." From the moment she stepped through the door, the little girl had been looking from one shelf to another until finally she saw Fred. "That's the one, Mummy. I want him." And she ran towards Fred and scooped him up. Fred could hardly believe his ears. The little girl's mother bent down and looked into Fred's eyes. "Are you sure, Louise? He's nice, but isn't he rather old?" Just then Mrs. Fussybottom swept Fred gently from the little girl's arms. "Wouldn't you much rather have a nice new bear? Come with me. I'll get one from the stock room." Fred landed with a gentle thump on the floor behind some boxes. "I don't believe this. Tossed aside just when someone finally wants to buy me." And the poor little bear began to cry. But Louise did not follow her mother and Mrs. Fussybottom to the stock room. She peeped down between the boxes and watched as from down the shelves and out of their boxes tiptoed Fred's toy shop friends. Captain Flash had bought a needle and some strong thread. Peggy the doll had a length of spotted ribbon, and Albert the fire engine produced a brush and comb. Softly they patted away the little bear's tears, and they quickly set to work. Just then they heard the voices of Mrs. Fussybottom and Louise's mother. The toys hurried back to their places. "I'm very sorry, but we don't seem to have any other teddy bears like that one," said Mrs. Fussybottom. But there, perched on top of a box, was the brightest and best bear they'd ever seen. "It's him. It's the one I wanted," Louise laughed. Louise got her best present ever, and Fred at last found a home. The end.